What's up guys, I'm BTC. We just got a whole bunch of brand new information about the upcoming Torbjorn rework with confirmed changes to the character. It's been over 5 months since we found out that Torbjorn's getting a rework, but we really haven't gotten any information about it until now. Just today, Jeff Goodman, who is the lead designer for Overwatch, gave an interview and he talked a lot about the changes that are going to be coming for Torbjorn. So first of all, he talked a little bit about some of the problems with the character, how when you're just kind of running around with only the character, there's a certain strength level. But as soon as you drop the turret and you upgrade it to level 2, then that strength of the character rises dramatically. And the problem is they need to balance it so that it's more consistent. Like, there isn't this all of a sudden big swing when you have a turret versus when you don't have a turret. He also emphasized the need for Torbjorn to actually be viable as an attacking character, and not simply considered to be a troll pick. Now, he understands that it's not always going to be perfectly viable, and there are going to be other situations where it's just simply not going to work, but he doesn't want the character to be automatically, oh, you're just throwing because you're using Torbjorn attack. So let's get to the good stuff. What exactly are they changing? Well, the first thing is that the turret no longer needs to be simply placed down in front of you. Instead, you can actually throw it to where you want it to go. Now, it's not going to be like the armor pack where you can throw it halfway across the map. Instead, it's going to function a little bit more like Tracer's ultimate. So you can throw it and you're going to get a little bit of distance out of it, but it's still going to be kind of limited. You're probably looking at somewhere between 5 to 8 meters of throwing distance. The even bigger change, though, is that you no longer have to upgrade it. It will automatically upgrade itself after a certain period of time. So in the old version, you have to walk over to where you want it, you put the turret down, you wait for it to build, you pull out the hammer, you upgrade it, and that takes a whole bunch of time. Basically, you're not doing anything while that is happening. You're kind of out of the fight. So what they're changing it to is you just get to where you want, you throw the turret out, it builds itself automatically, and then it's going to start out at that level 1, and after a certain period of time, it automatically upgrades itself to level 2. He said that they're still looking at a bunch of the numbers for the new turret because it might end up being a little too strong in its new form, so they might end up changing some of the damage here or the build time or cooldowns or any of that sort of stuff. But he said that the whole concept of being able to throw it and having it automatically upgrade itself is pretty much a guaranteed thing because it's really what they're looking at and they want to keep that functionality. So everything else is just going to be kind of like tweaking the numbers. Another really big change that they're looking at is the ultimate, because he said that they're having a lot of problems with it right now because it does kind of everything. So they tried changing it so that it would only affect the turret and maybe it would be a little stronger there, or maybe it would only affect Torbjorn himself and they would kind of buff it a little there, but they just don't really like the way that the ultimate is working. So what it seems like they might end up doing is they might end up changing this to an actual regular ability, kind of like what they've been doing with some of the other characters. You know, Mercy's ultimate got changed to a regular ability, Symmetra's teleporter got changed to a regular ability. It's entirely possible that Molten Core will as well, but he said that they're almost definitely going to be giving him a new ultimate. What exactly that's going to be, he's not really sure, he's not really telling us. I'm sure they have a bunch of ideas, I'm sure they're working on stuff, but it seems almost certain that Molten Core will be going away as the ultimate. Now here's the thing, I've made a bunch of videos in the past about a potential Torbjorn rework, and I've talked about the things that I would change in order to actually make the character better. Things like a throwable turret, things like an auto-upgradable turret, all that sort of stuff. So I'm not saying that Blizzard took my ideas or anything, I'm simply saying that they seem to have come to the same conclusions that I have and that other people have as well. Basically, the turret just takes up too much of your time. Being able to just throw it and kind of let it do its thing and have it be like extra disposable damage, I think is going to be a much better situation for the player and for the character as a whole. You don't have to worry about constantly going back and repairing it or upgrading and all that sort of stuff. You just kind of throw it out and let it do its thing. Because a serious problem with a dedicated builder character in Overwatch is that there's just a limit to their effectiveness. So the turret is always going to do the same damage, it has the same accuracy, it has the same everything, right? And it also doesn't move, which is really bad. So for a lower bracket player, someone who's less experienced and maybe they don't have the best mechanical skill, dealing with the turret might be problematic. But once you start getting into the higher ranks, Diamond, Master, GM, the turret is just a joke. It's barely more than a nuisance. So how do you balance a dedicated builder character like Torbjorn, where somewhere between 40 to 60% of your total damage comes from the turret? Because if it's too strong for the lower bracket and you end up nerfing it, well then it just becomes absolutely worthless for the upper bracket. And if you buff it so that the upper bracket can use it effectively, then it just becomes unbelievably overpowered for the lower bracket. It will become like a must pick. If you have a turret that's able to crank out more damage than most of the McCrees and the Soldiers and the Bastions that are playing in the bronze and silver ranks, then you pretty much have to have that turret, you have to have Torbjorn in every single match. So it becomes this really difficult thing to balance. But I think the idea that I've suggested and that it seems like they're going with is they're treating it like it's much more of a disposable thing. It's kind of more like a Junkrat trap, or it's more like the remote or something like that. You just kind of throw it out and it does its damage, it does its thing, and then if it gets destroyed, it's not really a big deal. You just put out another one, and then let it continue doing its thing. And most of the damage is starting to come from Torbjorn himself instead of the turret. The turret will just be supplemental, basically. So now it's going to function a lot more like a Symmetra turret, where you just kind of throw it out, and it does its thing. But of course, the Torbjorn turret is going to end up having a lot more health than the Sim turrets do. I really like the direction that they're going with the character. I can't wait to see more. What do you guys think about the changes to Torbjorn that they're talking about? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.